So welcome to this next video in our series of interviews for the journal Chemical Engineering Research and Design, where we get to meet and learn about some more of our editors on the editorial board. Today we have a special interview. It's our first interview with one of our colleagues from the mainland China. This is Wang. And Yan, can you please introduce yourself? Tell us a bit about you and your background and the work that you do.
Thank you, Brad. My name is Wang. You can just call me Yan. And I get my bachelor degree in Hefei University of Technology in China, which is in the Hefei city of Anhui province in China. Then later I get my master degree in Singapore. Both master and PhD degree in Singapore from National University of Singapore, from the Department of Chemistry. There I get my master study on the liquid crystalline polymer synthesis and application. And my PhD research is mainly on the membrane separation. My research field including the development of high-performance separation membranes and the membrane processes for water purification, liquid separation, and wastewater treatment via different membrane processes, including forward osmosis, reverse osmosis, evaporation, microfiltration, and nanofiltration, as well as the integration and industrial scale-up of the separation processes.
Wow. Okay, so that's quite a broad area of applications of membranes that you're working with. And so you also have an international background. I wanted to ask about your time in Singapore. The membrane research is very well recognized in Singapore. It's one of the global centers of excellence for membrane research. So do you think that was an important part of your education and your training, this international PhD in Singapore?
Yes, I can say membrane changed my career.
Yeah.
My bachelor major, the major in my bachelor and master study are both on polymer synthesis and polymer characterizations.
Yeah.
But there are many on theoretical study. But after I start my PhD study in membrane separation, I can apply all my polymer research knowledge and experience in the separation division. I think it's a quite useful and promising research direction in current society.
Yeah, definitely. I would strongly agree with that. I personally also have a background in membrane research, and so it's wonderful for me to hear this. You are really, I guess, applying your interdisciplinary background, right? Because you're applying your chemistry skills and your engineering and material science background in membranes in your current research. So before this interview, I had a look at a couple of your recent publications, and it must be very exciting. Just a few weeks ago, you had a Nature Communications paper published, and this is exactly what you're talking about right now, because you did actually use this concept of very careful control of polymerization processes to develop some very impressive thin film composite membranes. Could you talk a little bit about that recent work that you've done? Because it looked like a very, very large collaborative effort. You had a lot of co-authors from different groups and institutions there.
Thank you for asking. This paper actually was just accepted, I think, less than 1 month ago.
Yeah.
And it is in a field which we worked for many years. It's on the optimization of the polymer amide-based composite membranes for water purification application. Then actually we did a lot of work, including the monomer selection or IP process optimization or additive incorporation, try to adjust or optimize the structure of the as formed polyamide selective layer. Then this work was done about 3 years ago.
Wow.
And we found by just adding this common inorganic salt during IP process, then the IP process can be retarded in some degree. So the as formed amide layer can be very thin and smooth.
Yeah, the smoothness, I think, was a real key feature of your work. One of the really major advances, because people have made very, very thin IP layered membranes before. But I guess one of the really key contributions in this work was that you were able to achieve that control of the process to have such smooth membranes or smooth interfacial polymerized polymers.
Yes, and the most important finding is we demonstrate a facile and versatile approach to the nanoscale homogeneity of the polyamide-based selective layer where the salt-mediated IP process.
Fascinating.
We also do some simulation and different characterization to understand the underlying molecular mechanism by which the salt addition confines and regulates the diffusion of the amide monomers to the water-oil interface.
Great.
And to the nanoscale homogeneity of the polyamide layer.
Super. No. Well, thanks for telling us a bit more about that. So it's always wonderful to hear these stories when colleagues have worked for literally many, many years to bring together the experimental work, the simulations, the careful thinking and analysis to result in a really top publication like this. So congratulations to you and to your colleagues. Let's move on to talk a little bit about your work as an editor. So you are not just an editor in the journal, but you're actually also a topic coordinator, right? Or you're sharing this role of topic coordinator. So can you tell us about that, please?
Actually, it's a bit challenging for me in the very beginning to handle so many manuscripts and from different fields. It took me about 1 or 2 hours every day, on average, to handle this manuscript.
Yeah.
Especially in the field is not my own, such as the adsorption and extraction.
Exactly. So we should just clarify to the people watching this video that you are covering the very broad topic of separation processes.
Yes.
So even though you're an expert in membrane separations, our journal publishes manuscripts in all aspects of separation processes. And like you mentioned, this can be liquid extraction, can be solid gas adsorption on solids, as well as membranes and other separations. So I understand it is a very broad topic that you're helping to coordinate.
Yes, thank you for clarification. Actually, in the very beginning, it's a bit challenging, but later, about 1 or 2 weeks later, I found those fields are quite similar. And not only I learned different research frontiers in these fields, but also I can find that there are some similar research directions, such as the material selection and the characterization and the applications. They're quite similar.
Sure. So just again to clarify a little bit for our viewers how that works. We've talked about it in previous videos before, but not everyone may have seen those. So manuscripts go to our editorial office and they are screened quite quickly, and mostly that they are technically correct, that they meet the basic requirements for submission. And then they go very quickly to a topic coordinator like yourself. And then you read them, you assess them, and if they pass through your assessment, then a key task for you is identifying an appropriate subject editor, like myself, or the many other subject editors that work for the journal. And then you allocate that manuscript to that subject editor. And we try to do this process all relatively fast because we don't want to make the time under evaluation any longer for our authors than it needs to be. So you've said that was quite a challenging aspect of working as an editor. Can you talk about some of the positive aspects? What is it that you enjoy about being an editor and a topic coordinator for chemical engineering research and design?
Yes, actually, I enjoy the role of an editor now. Every day when I wake up, I go to every day the first thing I go to the office.
Yeah.
I would like to open my email box and go to the CHERD system to read the new papers assigned to me. I can learn many new things, not only in my field, in the membrane field, but also in other field in the separation division. And I can see some research frontiers in different separation aspects. And I enjoy reading those good papers and learn some knowledge from their abstract and introduction part. And I also can see some papers are not prepared in a satisfying way.
Yeah.
So I also can learn something from a reader, from the view of a reader.
Sure.
So I think it do give me a lot of knowledge and the way to writing the paper properly.
Sure. No, that's good to hear that you have so much enthusiasm each day to go and engage with the editorial system, and that you're getting a lot out of it. I'm very pleased to hear that. Turning a little bit to what it's like just to work in general as a professor there in China. You are the first editor that we've spoken to in these interviews working in China. And since you have this international experience working in Singapore as well, can you explain a little bit to our viewers and to our readers and authors what it's like to work as a professor and as a researcher there in China?
I have been studying in Singapore for 12 years.
Wow.
Studied and worked in Singapore 12 years. Before I went back to China, actually, it needed a lot of encourage to make a decision.
Yeah.
Because I think China changed a lot.
Absolutely.
In the past years, as you and I think the world can see.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure whether I can be adapted to the new culture in China now.
Mm-hmm.
And although I have many friends and my family members are in China, but I think the working steps in China is quite fast.
Yep.
And after I'm back to the Huazhong University of Science and Technology, the university I'm working now, and I noticed the new faculty, new faculty back to China from overseas. I think it's occupy about 50% of the whole faculty member in China.
That's impressive. That's very interesting to hear.
Yeah. It can see every people work very hard, and there is almost no Saturday or Sunday. Some people you can see they work every 8 to 10 hours every day.
Okay.
And
So
sometimes
quite a strong work ethic then, and quite an intense approach to work. I can agree from an outsider perspective with some of your comments. So I've visited China fairly regularly over the last 22 years. So my first visit was quite some time ago, and going back repeatedly in that period of time, the rate of change is incredible, especially when you see infrastructure being built out. I've visited many universities in China, including there in Wuhan, where you are, and the equipment, the facilities, the infrastructure, the resources available at the universities and the research institutes in China is extraordinary. And I think for many of our colleagues outside China who haven't visited China or haven't been there in recent years, they would find it really amazing to see what is available, what has been installed. In terms of scientific research, and in fields like ours, in chemical engineering, a very large proportion of publications are now being generated in mainland China. That's just a fact. So it's really become a scientific powerhouse, and really that's wonderful to see. Good. There is always the opportunity in these interviews for our editors to give some tips to our authors. So you said that you read a huge number of manuscripts, and that you've already mentioned that you see some things that other authors do well as a few things that they don't do well. But if you just wanted to summarize one or two key tips or some key pieces of advice for our authors, especially submitting in your topic of separation processes, what would you say to our authors? How would you encourage them?
There are 3 to 4 pieces of suggestions. First, try to reduce the similarity to previous publications. Some manuscripts, I can see the similarity ratio is very high, and they even copy the whole paragraph.
Okay, we should just clarify that, because I think not all of our authors are aware, or they should be all aware, that every manuscript submitted to our journal, and I think to all major journals now, undergoes sophisticated similarity matching. And they match to other published pieces of work, and in some cases to other submitted pieces of work contained in a large database. So what you're referring to is that people submit manuscripts where sometimes, like you say, text in their manuscript is matched to text in another manuscript, and that's generally unacceptable. So that's a very good point, and if our authors aren't aware of it, please do be aware of it, that when you submit your manuscript, it will be checked. Yeah.
And the second suggestion is try to let the authors know the novelty of this current work. You need to mention the big difference or the main novelty of this work compared to previous publications. Then it requires a comprehensive research background to let the authors know what are the similar previous work and what the main breakthrough or the difference of your work compared to the previous work, and what's the challenge or issues you have solved. And this is the second piece of suggestion. Then the last one is you have to prepare the manuscript in a proper way.
Yeah.
Clear logic to make the authors easy to follow, and better to get the English writing and the grammar edited, especially for those non-native speakers like me. My oral English is not very good, and I know that is my drawback. But every time when we finish a manuscript, we will ask different persons
Yeah.
and sometimes the native speakers to correct the papers at least once.
Yeah.
And we will correct the papers by ourselves at least 5 to 6 times to make sure to eliminate the grammar errors.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
They're all very good tips, and I totally agree with all of those. Finally, did you have any comments just in general about chemical engineering research that you would like to share with our audience?
I think chemical engineering holds very important role, and it may say more and more important role in our current society to meet the people's daily life need and industrial need. And in terms of the membrane separation, my field, I think it has a bright future for the in the current society, because the world is facing a global water scarcity nowadays, and people are looking for some efficient water treatment technologies to produce clean water to meet the growing population need. And compared to the conventional separation technologies, membrane separation technologies have a high separation efficiency, and it is a mild process without any third additive incorporated. So I think membrane separation also hold a great aspect in the chemical engineering industry. So
Super.
that's all I want to share.
No, I again, as a membrane researcher as well, I totally agree, 100% with all of those comments. Just a special point, our journal is a broad journal. We publish right across the breadth of chemical engineering, both in research and to some extent in industry as well. And we think that that is a great positive aspect of our journal. And so, of course, as a membrane researcher, there are many journals that you can choose from to submit your manuscripts in membrane science, membrane engineering. But one of the great benefits we see with chemical engineering research and design is that, of course, if your journal paper is good, it will be published, but it will be read by a wider audience, not just people working in the narrow field of membrane science, but people working in a broader cross-section of chemical engineering and in chemical engineering industry. So we see that as one of the very positive aspects of our journal, and for that reason we really welcome and we really encourage researchers, especially working in the membrane field, to consider sending their manuscripts first to us, because it's an excellent place to publish that research and get it read by a wide variety of people. Yen, it has been really a pleasure to meet you today, and I am really grateful for your work for the journal. It is a big commitment of time and energy, and I thank you for that. And of course, I am really grateful for your words and your time here today to participate in this interview. It's a really great way for more people to get to know our editors. And so, again, thank you for taking part in this interview. I've enjoyed getting to know you, and I'm sure the people that watch this video will also appreciate the chance to get to know you.
Thank you, Brad. Thanks for your time. Thank you.
My pleasure. Bye now.
Good night. Bye. Okay.